Welcome everyone. Today I have a new guide for Diablo 4 Season 2. Yes, I made a short class comparison Excels over here to have a look at a few of the important things for Season 2. And here I have also written some notes for those classes and things you should be aware for different classes. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, there's a lot of notes we can go through, which I will go through a little bit, for different class changes with a 41-page patch notes. Yeah, they did a good job this time, I think, for most of the classes. And if you look briefly at my overall ranking for the classes, they are generally pretty high. And maybe I'm a little biased to some classes, but I think they do a pretty good job in Season 2. So let's get into it and see how we go. Now, before we start, just so you guys know, I tend to rank things a little highly than usual, and this is just my personal thing. So in case you think this is definitely trashed here, and I'm still ranking this like B or A, you'll be like, oh, how come? So this is my personal thing, right? So starting right away, in case you guys are wondering if I'm biased and what I'm planning to play. So I have already decided to play the Necromancer for Season 2, for many reasons. And yes, we'll start with the Necromancer then. So for the Necromancer, I have made a video previously, if you haven't seen it. I have decided to have a variety of class building. And this comes back over here for the Necromancer with better AI for the minions and also ability to play the overpower build, which is going to be a theme for Season 2, and also to play with the minions. Together, I can play the Blood Mage, the Skeleton Summoning Mage, I can play the Golem Mage, I can play the Bone Lance nerfed Necromancer, I can also play the Corpse Explosion Necromancer. So there's a lot of variety for me to play through the Necromancer. And if you have a look at my ranking for leveling, Nightmare Dungeons, Uber boss fighting, with a lot of theme for the Necromancer, it seems that the Necromancer is in a comfortable place. And in terms of the powers and also the effects in Season 2 with the vampiric powers and also the new legendaries, the Necromancer seems to have a good spot again with those new items and also new powers, which in case you guys are wondering, we'll have a video focused on leveling for each of the class and a video focused on Uber boss fighting and also different builds. So this is just a summary, right? Now, as one of the two classes, the Necromancer itself, if you haven't seen the previous video about the raids for the Uber uniques, Necromancer have 6 available uniques in the pool. So what that means is I can get my hands on as many uniques as I can, but I might have a little lower chance of getting the Shackle or the Harlequin Quest, which plus 4 to our skill rank. This is a choice because if I get any of the weapons, I'll definitely play Barb or Rogue, and this allows me to path into different class if I get lucky. Now, if you're playing other classes other than Barb or Necromancer, you have chances of getting 5 different Uber uniques in the pool. And in terms of the nerf for the Necromancer, the thing that was nerfed the biggest was the bone essence for the Necromancer, and you have seen this in the patch notes. If you haven't, guys, come over to the Necromancer, you get to see the hidden this somewhere over here, and you get to see the nerfs to the Necromancer. So overall, I decided to rank the Necromancer about 92 out of 100, which is pretty high, and you know, there's a number of reasons. Because I think the Necromancer, if you've seen my video about Necromancer, I think it fits in the theme of the buffs and also changes and also the directions of the patch for Season 2. And even the bats are considered minions and deals damage, I think, for Season 2 with the vampiric power. So I think the Necromancer is still going to be my highlight and also focus starting the season, because I can potentially be a very fast Uber boss clear solo or even in a team for debuffs. Now, coming over to the other 4 classes, I'm not saying the Druid or Rogue, any of the classes a little weaker than Necromancer. You can see that my overall ranking are very similar. So in terms of leveling, I have to say that Druid definitely will feel a little slow, but this will rank up dramatically. I purposely left this one as C, but this can go to S tier, simply because the ability of Druid using Pulverize and also Overpower for the mid to end game for speed leveling. And you can clear waves of monsters super fast. And this combines with all the Overpower changes and also the ability of Druid to fortify for huge amount of damage. So I left this over here so you guys don't feel too bad. Now, Barbarians, they're pretty okay. They have a bit of Fury problem and they're not the fastest. So usually they're on the B tier. Rogue is always the fastest for leveling, speedy, and deals tons of damage when you're leveling up. And Sorceress is pretty top tier as well. The downside with Necromancer with leveling is that we don't run that fast. We don't have the mobility skill. But I don't mind that. I just focus on the end game, right? Now, in terms of the Nightmare Dungeons, this is pretty much after World Tier 3, after level 50, after level 70. You go into Nightmare Dungeons, you start to grind your glyphs, you start to get your items, you start to get your combos, get your build going for the mid-game. And in terms of that, most of the classes will do fairly well. It really depends if you get your crucial, unique item that is going to be the central theme of your build, and also legendaries and also powers. For the Barbarians, you need some Fury Gain. For the other classes, you need 1 or 2 crucial pieces. And once you have those, you should be fine in Nightmare Dungeons. Now, usually for the Nightmare Dungeon clear, you want to get to higher world difficulties. And for classes like Necromancer, Rogue, and Sorceress, they tend to have the easiest time of clearing out World Difficulty 3 Capstone and then going for World Difficulty 4 Capstone. And this is why they will rank a little highly for me over here for those ranking. And finally, in terms of the Uber Boss, what we're looking for Uber Boss is that how much single target damage, how much damage over time, how much crowd control, and how much stun and disable you can do to the Uber Boss. And here I do feel the Druid falls out a little bit, simply because the Druid will become a monster in terms of boss clearing once they have Tempest Roar. But unfortunately, Tempest Roar is left over at Duriel, which is the last boss. So the harder part for the Druid to get Tempest Roar is that you either get lucky, which I had a friend to level 100, they only got Tempest Roar after level 100. And before that, you won't be as good as boss clearer. For most of the other classes, you have something going. For the Necromancer, you can go with one-shot Necro. You can go with minions. For the Barbarians, you can go with Bleeding and Rend, and with the changes of Rapture, I think you do a good job in terms of the Uber Boss. For the Rogue, the traps, the single target damage, a lot of control to stagger the boss, and lots of poison damage. For the Sorcerers, you can be an Ice Stagger Sorcerer, or you can be a Conjure Sorcerer. So I do think this works well for most of the classes. Now, in terms of the class build variation, for the Druid, unfortunately, the nerf of Bulwark take away the low HP Bulwark. That was broken. If you see my Bulwark video, you don't need to do anything, because the damage was scaling off the monster's HP. So the class variation for the Druid, you have your Paralyze, you have your Tornadoes, you have your lucky summons of spells with the, was it Force of Nature? Oh gosh, old memories. So the Druid have a few variety. I don't think it's as variety as Necromancer, but I could be wrong, because the Druid can potentially have minions and companions. So if that works, the Druid will be top tier as well for the class build variety. For the Barbarians, they're buffing Upheaval, they're nerfing Hammer of Ancient a little bit, and in terms of class variety, I think the Barbarians will limit to a few builds. I don't think a few builds will be great against the Uber Boss, and this is the downside. Similar for the Druid and Barbarian, sometimes they build want them to hit as many enemies as they can, like the Pulverized build for the Druid, or maybe Hammer of Ancient for Barbarians. Now the Rogue is getting a lot of good insight and a lot of buffs to the ranged Rogue. And together with the Rogue's ability to summon infinite traps with a new, the unique item, Rogue looks pretty good. And as for the Sorcerers, yes, the Hydra burn buggy damage was nerfed apparently. I never played Sorcerers properly, so this is what I heard from everybody else, but I didn't really play Sorcerers. But with the new changes to plus skill rank that provides you with more damage, and a massive increase to Hydra damage. So if you come over here, I did a thing here, I think it's 5 times more damage with Hydra damage, from 12% to 60% buff. And with the changes of skill rank, Sorcerers tend to gain the most from the skill trees and also abilities. So this is why we still got a pretty high rank for the Sorcerers for like class building. Now in terms of how strong a class can be in Season 2, I'm predicting all class will be fairly even, and that was the goal for the patch notes, right? And personally, I think I heard Rax say this as well. Rax was saying that Overpowered Druid will become a huge build changer, but we shall wait to see, because back in Season 1, Overpower seems to be a leveling build and an early game build. It wasn't as powerful in the late game because of the items, because of the drawback of Overpower. But Pulverized Druid could become really good in Season 2. Now we have talked about the availability of pool of unique items previously in the last video, so definitely check that out. I actually spent a lot of time on it. But over here, just briefly guys, if you're looking for one particular item, I know most of us want Harlequin's Quest for the Shackle. It may take you anywhere for 14 to 60 days to farm this one with an Uber Duriel. And if you're looking for one item, just the shackle over here, Harlequin's Quest, I do think it may be better to play a class with only 5 availability of Uber unique items. This gives you a percentage of 16, I can't type this here, I'll type here, 16.66% higher chance of getting the shackle if a unique item, Uber unique, was to drop, because your pool of available items is only 5 of those. But if you're like me, you want to just get your hands on any of the Uber unique items, especially weapons, then going for Necromancer or Barbarian may be the best way in the long term. Now, finally, in terms of, nerf to the class, if you guys didn't know, the buggy damage nerf to the Bulwark means there's no longer a Bulwark build, or at least I think so. And the Berserking damage, infinite stacking for the Barbarians, it wasn't that great, but Whirlwind Barbarians and Infinite Fury Barbarians could kind of make use of that. Now, I haven't seen the direct notes exactly to say that the nerf to the poison stacking rogue with a pool of poison is there, but it is likely that it's also adjusted. But if that's not, guys, rogue could be SSS tier, because rogue would be great for killing bosses and everything with a pool of poison. And yes, the Hydra's burn damage is nerfed. So those are the changes for the classes. And personally, even though I'm going for Necromancer, I still think that the Druid might have a really good potential in Season 2. Well, Season 1 Druid was pretty good. Now, I do have a friend that is planning to play Barbarian. I also have a friend that is planning to play Necromancer with me. Let me know in the comments below, guys, which of the classes are you planning to play and the reasons behind it. It is likely I missed some parts because I try to give you guys a much shorter video and a summary. Notice I even have more notes over here and more things. So here are my notes as I read through the patch notes. And yes, I did read through the patch notes. It took me a while for different classes, but I want to give you guys a more concise summary. And yes, let me know, guys, and we'll have a tally, we'll have a voting, and we can have a look which class is most popular and how do we plan to approach for Season 2. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4.